this organically. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time to please the hook. Big mistake to judge the content by the cover and not read the book. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time to please the hook. Big mistake to judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look. Babe said, play your position. Don't make nobody live free in your mind or in your mansion. You need to stop them make assumption.
Yes, Mr. G.
Yeah, we in with it. We're there.
Boom, peel it off, give
Hey.
technician time.
It look like this is going live. Wait a
Clear.
second.
Big mistake.
We on already? Yeah, man. All right, good evening,
You're live,
folks.
you're live, you're
Happy
live.
holidays.
You're live.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Good vibes all throughout 2024. We're entering a new phase of the planet, actually, because this war persists in Ukraine. Hopefully that they'll have some sense about that and back off of it. I don't see any stopping now. It seems they're intent on destroying that entire area and all the people with it. A shame. Again, the white nations seem to be supporting this, and the non-white nations are opposed. If that comes to a head, then we'll have a problem, because I don't think we can go backwards with this. We have to go forward. Let us all understand what is going here. We cannot just allow peace and tranquility on this planet to be disrupted by greed, racism, bigotry, and certainly genocide cannot be allowed to happen. I am G. Michael Reed from Belize City, and hoping to get a couple of our co-hosts. I know Joe offered his apologies, will not be able to make it in. I expect to see Gregory sometime along. Until then, I'll try to keep you entertained. If not informed, amused. Let's see how it goes. The a year in review, which was supposed to happen, didn't happen. I got tied up in a lot of stuff and did not do the necessary homework. It's not easy, folks. It's a tough job. I do know that there are quite a few things that happened last year, or this year. We're still in it. COVID seems to have gone away, finally. And boy, did we have 3 years of hell. But it seems now that people are, every now and again, I still see folks wearing masks. I guess if you're ugly, you need to wear a mask anyway. So that's what. Hey, Greg. Hey, Greg, what's up? How you doing, man?
Hey. Not bad. Good evening.
All right. How was the Christmas?
The Christmas was wonderful. I had a good time. I ate a lot. I did a little bit of rest. I was supposed to do some work. I thought I'd have enough time to do some work, but my brother Thomas is visiting from Belize, and his wife.
I know
And
Tom
so,
well.
Yeah. And so I spent a lot of time with him.
You shall me bring up on the show, man.
I should, huh?
He has a lot to say, yeah. Thomas he has been in the belly of the beast, you know.
Oh, he has.
Yeah, politics in Belize is no fun, boy.
I know.
So, yeah. But, yeah, are you a Christmas person?
Oh, I love Christmas. It's my favorite time of the year. I really enjoy Christmas.
I heard that in a song somewhere.
Yeah,
favorite time of the year. But you strike me as a man who certainly is not a believer in Jesus.
Who said Christmas is about Jesus?
Wait, isn't it the birth? It's supposed to be the birth of Jesus?
Yeah, but we know he wasn't born in Christmas. It's just a big celebration of coming together. I view it as a time where family kind of come together. We enjoy food, and we reach our level of spirituality of whatever calling we have. And so for me, I don't see it. I mean, in terms of Christian stuff, I recognize it as it's the time for where we celebrate the birth of Christ, and I have no objection to that. We all know he wasn't born at that time, but at any point, the Jesus Christ that lived and walked, he was indeed a from all account a wonderful, great human being,
So
and
you
and he
believe that he did live. He did
Oh yes,
walk the
yes, I
earth.
do believe. Yeah, I do believe
Uh,
that there's a what the problem I have is whether it's an immaculate birth and it's a son of
yeah,
God.
yeah.
That's my only contention with it. But as a person that teaches us what needs to be done and how we should live our lives, if we could follow his example, the world would be a much better place. So
But you know,
I have
Greg,
no problem with that.
and it's a fitting time to have the conversation because Jesus basically said to us, "You're all sons of the Most High. You're
Yeah.
all sons of God," and
Hmm.
believe we're all children of God. He
Yes.
also said
Yes.
that if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you can do everything that I'm doing and more. So
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So,
I
so I don't have problem with the Jesus character as, and I think a lot of thing more is prescribed to him than he ever claimed of himself.
I think so too.
You
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
I mean, even now they call the Mary Holy Mary and pray to Mary, and there's no evidence of any such reason to.
Yeah.
So there are lots of things that we have done that
Well,
kind of just skewed this whole level of belief and practice that we make it undaunting for most people except for those zealots.
well, I think many people will use any excuse to go away from God and go to something that they can more identify with. See, a person like Mary, who's a human being, even Jesus, a human being, they can identify with that. But as for the spirit, which what God is not the item. Well, there's no way you could put God in any neat package, because if you
Hmm.
do, then what happened to the rest of us out there? Because
Yeah.
everything is a part of him. So I
Hmm.
think that one way of life, as you stated, that one um, philosophy of love,
Hmm.
that basically you look out for each other as opposed to this constant bickering, like
Yeah.
children. You know, I watch the kids and I watch them. They cannot be amongst each other more than 2 3 minutes without a fight. One going at each other, and many
Yeah.
grown-ups are like that. You
Yeah,
know.
we don't grow out of it with all the hope of discipline and stuff. There's
Yeah.
this if you watch kids carefully and human beings, you see the same pattern of behavior. I always say if a person is a liar and a thief as a child, they certainly have the same propensity for those behaviors as an adult. I remember one story a lady told me, and this is a really profound to me because we were talking about just some business, some family business she was doing. And we were in a professional setting at work, right? And she was saying, "Oh, my mom, her mom at that time was about 92 years old. She herself was probably a little bit older than me, so she was probably at that time probably about 65, 67, because she told me she was getting ready to retire in like a year or two. And this is like over 10 years ago, like 10 years ago. And she said to me um, that she just came back from visiting her mom and she was fixing up the house. They had a very nice house because and her father had died because he was an architect back in Oakland area, not Oakland, but San Jose area, Northern California. And she was telling me, "Oh, we went there and the house needed so much repair and stuff." And my mom, she's 92, she doesn't have any sense of what's going on. She's an engineer herself, so she had a little bit more knowledge. Her husband was a salesperson for engineering products, so they're pretty versed in what needs to be done and stuff. She said, so we went to spend a week around Christmas with their mom, and they end up staying like 3 weeks because they had to hire a contractor to kind of start doing some repairs on the house, and they had to get him started, and then they were going to come back and do it. She said, so I said, why and she said she was telling me how she had to spend all this money to do it. And I said, "Oh, why didn't you ask your mom for the money and stuff?" She says, "Well, I didn't ask her, but I said, maybe she said, but I think the house is they had taken out a loan on the house, she and her brother. That's what she told me. And I said, why don't you just ask your mom if she took out a loan? She says, Greg, she lied to me. She will
Oh,
lie to me.
oh
So
man.
I cannot tell a time where I think my mom lied to me. I could not remember. Ever since she told me that story 10, 12 years ago, I have tried to remember if I could find evidence of where my mom had lied to me in anything other than tell me baby come from
A
in a
store.
basket or some nonsense like that, right?
Hmm.
And I was just so surprised. And then I said, I guess at 92, because I was thinking even if she had lied to her in the past, she wouldn't have been lying to her now at 92, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Well, you're
I'm
thinking
getting,
it draw closer to God. So yeah. No, but
but
did you ever hear the saying, a lie is a thief and a thief is a murderer?
my mom used to say that
I heard that a
constantly
lot
too.
growing up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
My mom used to beat you and say, you can't, if you lie, you're gonna steal it. If you steal, you're gonna be a killer. And I was
yeah,
like, how do you make that jump? But
yeah,
like you said, when you look at it, it's a natural progression, isn't it?
yeah.
It
Well, if you
seems
have
like
no
you're
scruples,
covering.
you
Yeah.
go, you keep going and going. And if you allow yourself, if you can excuse, because for you to tell a lie,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be you have to put yourself in a frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You to steal something, you have to put yourself in a frame of mind. So you lie, then you steal, and it comes to a point where it presents itself where you need to kill somebody.
Yeah,
If,
you need to cover.
if
You
you
need
can
to cover the
justify,
situation.
yes, if you can justify lying and justify stealing, likely you're gonna justify the murder, no? So that,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's, it's not that big a jump when you think about it. Really. No.
It's not that big, but it's quite a quite a move.
Well,
The
it's
other day we were
quite a progression, if you will.
yes, yes. The other day we were talking whether God see all sins as equal. We were just talking about this,
That's an
and
argument that I've heard had before. Yeah, and
yeah,
I'm curious as to what came of that, with
yeah.
you and your,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, for me, I see them as unequal, right? Because I don't see a person that just may have cheated on his spouse or cheated on someone the same or may have told a little lie or something like that as a murderer. I don't see that, but
That jump
apparently
I can't make. That
yeah,
jump. Yeah.
but apparently when they pulled the source someplace in Matthew they had mentioned had it it says that they were all equal, and so I'm still
Well,
to
somebody said to me one time, everything in the Bible is truly stated, but
mhm.
everything is not a statement of truth. Um, I I found it interesting because really the men wrote the Bible. Number
Hmm,
one,
hmm.
the
and
men
then
wrote
it's
this down.
been and
It's
then
been
it's
tampered
been
with,
it's
translated,
been
interpreted.
interpreted.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So I don't think that everything, because if you go into the book of Leviticus, for instance, and where you can sell your slaves, and you can keep slaves, that they,
Yeah.
in fact, throughout the whole Bible, they're
Yeah,
talking about
filled
slave.
with slaves, filled with
Yeah,
slaves,
I, I, I,
slave and servants, and and
correct,
and some of the
correct.
worst abuse against other human beings is
There's
is
a
quite
funny,
evidence there.
there's a line also when Jesus is supposed to have said, "You will always have the poor among you." I don't
Uh-huh.
know if you
Hmm.
recall
Yes,
reading
yes,
that.
I remember that clearly.
And
Th-
so
th-
I'm
those people that
saying,
don't want to share keep repeating that to us all the time.
I don't know if it's them, I don't I see it more than that. I see
Mm.
it as basically truth, because when you look at poor people, and when I say poor people, really poor people, because you have people who
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
more than others, but they're more poor than the
Mhm.
others, if you will.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
their habits, they drink, they smoke,
Mhm. Mhm.
they cigarette, weed, drugs, they do drugs,
Yeah. Yeah.
everything bad they do.
Mm-hmm.
They waste their money. They gamble. They
Mm-hmm.
go to casino,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
of course you're gonna remain poor. They don't
Mm-hmm.
they don't make the sacrifices necessary. You see
Mm-hmm.
them loafing a lot. So
Mm-hmm.
people like that, they will always be poor.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
now, what do you do? What do the rest of society do? Because we're faced with a choice sometimes as we can try to help, but how many can you help without being hurt yourself?
Yeah.
Um,
And wasting your time, right? Well,
wa-
see, to me, go ahead.
no, we're wasting not only wasting your time, but watching them waste the help that you gave them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being on a train in New York City one time, and a guy came in. I'm really hungry. I'm really, really hungry. So I need $1 for buy some biscuit to eat, and I
Mm-hmm.
gave him the dollar, my last dollar. And he went, and it was about 4 stops down. I believe he thought I had already left the train. And
Mm-hmm.
here comes this guy, same guy through. I
Mm-hmm.
need a
Ask
cigarette.
you again.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
no, he didn't ask me. He said he's asking everybody, I need a cigarette. Anybody got a cigarette? $1. I'm $1 for a cigarette. Now the same
Uh-huh.
dollar I just get a man, right?
Uh-huh.
I jump up and grab my dollar. No, I said, my boy, give me my money. This and then my last dollar I give you, and you gonna buy a cigarette. So, so
Yeah.
no, but again, poor people waste a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if you notice people who are successful, I recall also with the Muslims, and when Elijah Muhammad was preaching to them and whatnot and teaching them, and he said, always be about something. Every time you see the Muslims, they're busy. They're walking fast. They're going somewhere, doing
Mm-hmm.
something, and that was a part of their mantra. And I remember thinking that does make a lot of sense, because when you're doing something, in particular something constructive,
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're not going to be doing something trivial,
Mm-hmm.
or out of the way, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I always think that the condition of poor is a social position that people are locked in to some degree, right?
some are
Whether it's
comfortable there.
yeah, yeah, whether it's because and self-creating and self-emulating.
Yeah.
Um, and while poverty and maybe you can move yourself from poorness to some level of success, but seldom it seems that you're able to. But people can always seem to be able to lift themselves out
I
of
don't know. I,
poverty,
I think it
out
happens
of
more than you think, Greg.
no,
Because
because I'm separating the difference between poor and poverty. Because to me, poverty is a condition where you just don't have resources that you could make yourself capable at some point of having those resources and using the resource you have in a judicious way, in a careful way that you could correct some of your condition. You see, so that's what I was trying to equate it with. That the
but
difference.
let us look at the way we used to live growing up. Many of us
Mm-hmm,
went to school barefooted.
mm-hmm,
Many of
mm-hmm,
us had very little in the pot,
mm-hmm.
and there were families were bigger.
Mhm.
They were homes where it wasn't unusual to walk in at home and see somebody got newspaper covering up the holes in the wall,
Wow.
so the
Mhm.
draft not get in. So
Mhm.
you rarely see that anymore. Certainly, the standard of living have raised, without us even understanding it.
Mhm.
So I think that a lot of people who were dirt poor growing up
Mhm.
have
Mhm.
made something of themselves. In particular, a lot of people went to the U.S. now, really
Mhm.
did something for themselves. But even some people in Belize who have
Mhm.
never left, but
Mhm.
they got educated, they got good jobs. Some of them went into
Mhm.
government, which is a
Mhm.
sure way to get some money. Uh,
Yes.
but I think that if a person really wants to, and there are many stories from rags to riches where
Yes.
people really how they handle it when they get it might
Mhm.
indeed be a different story. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. No, no, the condition of like you said of lifting yourself out of poverty seems to be easier because I don't equate poorness always with poverty, right? They seem to
you
be.
don't see them as the same thing.
No, no, no. I think
Yeah.
poor is a condition of your social being, right?
Mhm.
That is you in some ways, because you have all these mal character faults, right? The
Okay.
drinking, the
Okay. Yeah.
gambling,
Yeah. Yeah.
the laziness. You see,
Poor with good
and
reason, like I said. Poor with
yeah,
reason.
poor with good reason. I guess that's is. And
Yeah.
poverty just means you don't have resource at the moment, but you could equip yourself to change that condition, right?
And if the situation comes along, you would capitalize and be able to pull yourself out of there,
Yes.
and maybe you're still not rich, because few people will tell you they're rich. I mean, even the rich will
Hmm.
not admit to being rich. How
Yeah.
much? How much is you need to get rich? I
Yeah.
imagine a man like Bill Gates and them fellows that cannot deny it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
certainly,
Well, how do you the word? They lavish themselves in it, and but some people are a little bit more humble with it. But what we
yeah,
all through their lifestyle, we know that they and when you go spend $20 million for your daughter's wedding, you know,
yeah. Well,
you know we're not talking nothing stupid. It's
I
real
saw
money.
a fellow who I wanted to talk a little about, Bill Moore, and he
Hmm.
gave out $1 million to the Democratic Party for the last election.
Hmm.
When you could give $1 million to anybody, you got some money. So,
Hmm.
but he came up with something the other day that was disappointing, because he was talking about the conflict in the Middle East, and he was suggesting that, well, you have to get over it, because the people just do that. I mean, the Jews aren't going anywhere. They gone there, and they do it, and they don't know they have to protect themselves. But I
Hmm.
don't know, because the rate at which they're killing out those people, and they don't even have an army. They're not like army to fight army. It's not a war.
Yeah,
It,
no, yeah.
it's a terrible situation, and for him to do that, and I've always found him funny. I like him.
Hmm.
I like his
Hmm.
jokes.
Hmm.
But this right here
Hmm.
really gave me pause to think, no, and
Yeah,
say maybe this
yeah,
this fella is not all that
yeah,
that that, that I thought he was.
yeah. I didn't see that, but I always have a little bit of suspicion always about the media, because most of the people, even though we watch it today, they're reporting on the facts and what we understand the facts to be is not balanced, and it's not uh, clearly and properly articulated to the people. There's lots of skewing. We keep hearing them saying, "Oh, and Hamas killing and killing of 1,400 people and taking of 200 people." And yes, that is all true. But no, but then they always kind of dampen that, I mean, outrage that and dampen the fact that so far 20,000 people have been killed known, and there are probably another 20 or 40,000 sitting under the rubble of
Yeah,
those
yeah.
collapsed building. And one person was saying some time ago, we complain about 9/11, and right now in the Gaza, in those areas, there's 1,000 9/11 to the level of destruction. How do we expect those people to be normal after being bombed for
Man,
50 days now, to the extent that they are? Normal,
why?
innocent people. And we complain about one day of plane crashing, and it creates so much trauma for our society. Even today, people are suffering the effects of that, from the carcinogen and other contaminants that they had to breathe from the collapse of those 9 buildings that went down. How
I've been
many
wa-
hundreds and thousands of buildings have gone down as we look at it now?
I've been watching from a guy named Norm Finkelstein. Of course, from the last name, you can suspect he's a Jew. He grew up. Well, he was, his father was and his mother were victims of the Holocaust. Um, he spent some time in Gaza, actually, and he's dead set against the war. He thinks that the Israelis are absolutely wrong, and that in fact the Palestinians had a right to try to get attention to their plight. that in fact what was going on was a state of apartheid where I mean, when you have almost 3 million people cramped into an area the
Mhm.
size of San Pedro and
Mhm.
Burgess
Mhm.
Key,
Mhm.
you're talking about nowhere to go, no hope.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're fed water and light and
Mhm.
and a well, if you deserve it, you'll get it. If not, then we'll cut it. I
Yeah.
I can't see that because I remember like 2 days after the inc- incident of October the 7th. I remember the Israelis announced that they are cutting light and water to Gaza, and
Mhm.
at that point, I'm like, "Well, you seriously? You can really do that?" I mean, this is an
Mhm.
area that, but I wasn't then thoroughly educated or properly educated about what was going on.
Mhm.
And I think we all owe it to ourselves to read up on what is happening here
Yeah.
because something like this in this day and age cannot be allowed to happen.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
finally dismantled apartheid in South Africa, and
Mhm.
I don't know to what degree because certainly this has residues of the system in place. You're not
Mhm.
going to get rid of that because they're not going to just give up power like that.
Mhm.
Nobody gives that up.
No, no, nobody. Yeah.
You have to wrest it from them.
Yeah.
So, but this guy, look him up when you get a chance. Norm
I
Finkelstein
will.
is
Oh,
an very interesting guy, and like I said, he lived through it. And
mhm.
even though he said, "Why are we doing back to them what has been done to us?"
Mhm.
How can you justify that what you are doing here, and then
Yeah.
condemn what was done to you? And you're
Yeah.
right. They all keep harping about the October 7th. Oh, so many
Mhm.
people, and they keep embellishing it with falsehood.
Mhm.
They cut off everybody's head and they do all of that,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it
None
has
of
been.
that happened. None
They
of that
didn't.
happened.
They did kill the people, yes.
Yes.
I think though you have to understand that you don't. And there's this fellow that keeps interviewing people. I forgot his name, a white guy, and he keeps saying, "Well, do you condemn them as terrorists? Are they terrorists? Are they?" He keep
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody
Yeah. Yeah.
demands that they say these people were terrorists,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
couple of people have been saying to him,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute, you're pushed against a wall.
Yeah.
Nobody's even paying attention to your plate because had this not happened, that is
Mhm.
happening now, which one of us would have known between
Mhm.
say me and you, and there's only two of
Mhm.
us in the room, which one of
Mhm.
us would have known that to the extent and the atrocity of what is happening there?" I, I
Mhm.
I didn't. I certainly didn't. I knew there was something going on there, but I did not know to what degree. And it
Mhm.
is really saddened me. I understand that when the water that they used to, when they said they were cutting it out, because they used to send water over, but
Mhm.
there would be feces in the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that can't be. And you,
Yeah.
this I know people that will tell me that you're God's chosen people and you're acting like that. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're on
I
tonight.
I wanted to just go back to what we were talking about because Mr. We're talking about the holes in the wall and some of the poverty because Mr. Young was mentioning that he grew up in one of those homes where they had to put the newspaper over the holes to
Yeah, man.
cover it, and he says, that's where I learned to read. So
Oh, yeah,
there are
yeah.
benefits
Well,
to some of it, and sometimes we that's what I'm saying. We make the poverty, we make the poorness. Some people are poor, some people are poverty, because the people that are just in the condition of poverty find ways to change their situation through their own endeavor or the help of others. But whenever they see opportunity, they're able to rescue it
They seize it.
and to
Yeah,
seize onto it.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, but see, you can make the best out of a bad situation, or you can look at it and despair. One verse in the Bible that always got to me though was the Beatitudes when it said that blessed are the poor in spirit, and I
Mhm.
never did figure that one out. All the other ones I could understand, but I don't know that you want to be poor in spirit. I don't know, being poor in spirit is like your spirit is not, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that particular
Yeah,
quote
that
of
one
it,
of them.
but
Yeah.
but yeah, that seems a little bit not what I would have expected to hear
So
in terms of cause.
well, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't want to just dismiss everything as falsehood and no good, which some people tend to do. If it's not all the packaging perfect, then we don't want any part of it. But I think there's a lot in there that gives us good insight as to what is going on. I do believe it has been tampered with, and to some degree, deliberately.
Oh, always deliberately,
Yeah,
always
to
deliberately.
to to
it's
yeah,
always it's always skewed by the author, by the state.
propagandists.
We have to
Yeah,
always remember the Bible was produced by the state. Every single one of them. Every
interesting.
single one of them, whether we go back to Constantine, which where our modern Bible comes from, or whether we go back to King James version, where most of the current documents of it are, most Christians I think carry that particular one. Some of the other sects have their own draft of it, but they all come out of that. They all came one. They all came from the Roman Catholic, right? That's where our Christian religion got formulated and developed. And so we are all pressed on that, of the 3,000 religions that totters the world right now. That's where they came from, and I don't know how many different versions of the Bible there is, or how many different versions. I know the Quran, the Bible, and the sutras and stuff that some of the other religion has, and so forth.
Bhagavad Gita, I believe one is.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm pronouncing the first name correct. Bhagavad Gita.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
there's and they basically are saying the same thing though. When you get to it, the essence of it, you serve God and love
Hmm.
one another.
Hmm.
Which is when they asked Jesus the two main commandments. He said one is love the Lord thy God, and next is love thy neighbor as you love yourself.
Hmm.
Uh, which
And if we
makes
could,
uh,
yeah, if we could do that second one, love your neighbor as you love yourself, a lot of the ills of the world and the peacefulness of it would survive, right? We'd be in a
well, it
much
would
better place.
materialize itself naturally because you're
Hmm.
certainly not going to hurt yourself.
Hmm.
So if you're not going to hurt yourself, you're not going to hurt somebody else. But
Hmm.
when we get to the point where we want that self gratification, to we want to get what we want regardless of the cost, and we don't look at everybody else's interest in the same way as we look at ours, then we're on a path to destruction. It will eventually lead somewhere that's not good. You know?
Well, what has drive the world, it seems over the last 3,000 years, or maybe well more, they sometimes they find evidence and say humans, modern humans been there 15,000 years, and then sometimes they say no, it's no more than 9,000 years, and then sometimes they tell you, oh, we find evidence of it 25,000 years back. So you never know quite what the story is. I think as we keep looking, we keep understanding more about where we are, what our place is, and so forth in this whole universe. Hey, good evening,
I'm
Renee.
Hello,
surprised.
hello, hello. I'm sorry. I
Look what the cat dragged in.
it really dragged the
Uh,
cat really dragged me in. It really did.
we're
Good
gonna
evening,
Renee.
gentlemen. How are you? How are
Good,
you?
good evening.
Happy holidays. I hope
You,
you're enjoying.
you're looking good
I'm in full
as usual.
full work. Are you able to hear me?
Yes,
I
very
am.
well.
We
Yeah,
hear you.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, full work mode.
What
It's
you do?
been yeah, busy set of days.
Wait. What you do exactly? No, you.
I I'm a professional tax preparer. I
Oh,
also
okay.
am a senior person for the leading tax preparation company software in the United States, and I dare say the world.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. So
Uh,
from now till April the 15th, I guess your work is cut
uh,
out for you.
super
They go all the
busy.
way. They go all the way up to August because a lot of states have extended up to
Right, where some
August for
states extend,
the
there
filing
is
period. Yeah, I
But
know
you do.
California is one of those states that you just kind of send them a little bit that you think you owe them. Send them what you think you owe them, and you don't have to
hmm
actually do the
buy some
preparation.
time.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You did.
Yeah,
You did take some time for Christmas, though, right?
I did, and why I look, not my not my signature best, trying to balance doing the things on the home front, cooking. I enjoy doing that. And the gift preparing and gift giving and gift receiving and all that, and then behind the scenes we're getting our codes and our systems all ready, and because we actually start working on January 2nd. We won't be feeling calls per se to help people with their tax returns until around January 15th, or perhaps the 8th. But right now, it's for us with dealing with the software and making all the make sure that the engine is good and ready to go. So
Yeah.
it's been a lot of.
Do they rebuild the engine every time, or do they just add whatever new functionality and rate changes that occur
I
in
like that. I
the?
like that. So we don't rebuild. We don't have to. We pride ourselves in the quality of software that we provide. And as the tax rules and laws and things change for
Hmm.
each state, and then of course federally, we
Hmm.
incorporate that. But it's usually just having to add, because not much change.
Yeah,
Like this year, the
yeah.
most significant thing is the increase in standard deduction.
Hmm.
They're raising the standard deduction to accommodate for inflation. They say, but
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
anyway.
Why, you don't believe in inflation?
Of course I do. Of course
Oh.
I do. I feel it. But
Okay,
this is
okay.
how the politicians are marketing it.
Hmm.
But
That
Renee, where do they get the money from? Because we keep hearing how there's so many trillion in debt, but they keep like take for instance when COVID and they were giving these stimulus checks. Everybody got stimulus checks. Where do they get all this money from? Is it infinite? Can they make it? Don't they have a reserve that they have to match with?
your guess is as good as mine, and I can't get into the details of the workings of the American government. I don't know, but America has money, and I think America proved that during COVID that they were able to
Hmm.
offer six and five and six and then $1,400
Hold
uh,
on.
Hmm.
to to every person that filed their
Taxes.
2018 2019
Yeah. Yeah.
taxes and beyond. They've been able
Hmm.
to donate trillions to these wars and stuff going on around the world. America
That's what
has
I'm saying. I mean,
Yeah,
you
right.
talk about money, real money. I
yeah,
mean,
America has
yeah,
money.
the trillions of the talk about, but then again, you hear how much trillion they're in debt. So,
But
yeah.
well, not because you have it means that you don't owe some. They say owe it until you could,
well, well,
Till they come collecting it, then
right, right.
they are,
But it's the
they,
way of the
they,
world.
there's
yeah,
also a saying that if you can't own a million, you owe a million, and you still
Right,
got a
yeah.
million.
right.
So,
And in this case,
Yeah,
trillions.
yeah.
yeah, trillions.
If you
Amazing,
can't own it,
amazing.
owe
we
it.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
But
we need Mr. Jose Coe to talk to us about money, but I do know I did
mhm,
study economics. My first degree was economics, and my teacher, my professor would probably just slap me because I know remember so little of it in
mhm.
terms of the theory of what I was taught. But I do know that in terms of money, the way they just create it, and our money is actually called fiat money
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it's not backed up against any hard
I thought it was
reserve.
the gold billions and whatnot.
No, that
Not,
was dismissed some back in the 1940s, I think, either going into the Second World War or after the Second World War.
so you just say have money, write that check and there it is.
Well, the government just, the Federal Reserve just determined based on its agreement, even independent of the government to some degree, but
Mhm.
but with full concert of them because it is the government that ultimately appoints the the boards, yeah, the Federal Reserve Board. It is the politician that appoint them, and I'm sure then they're not going to do anything counter to what they believe is the economic prosperity of the
You
country and
were
the society they're propped up in.
you
But
had me
but
nervous there for a minute because I thought you were going to say they're not going to do anything contrary to what is correct or what is legal. Uh,
no, no, I would never dare to say that, because I can't speak against the system in that way, but I
yeah,
but
some
it is a capitalist system that has a
Mhm.
a single objective, and that is to, well, multiple objective, but a main objective of keeping the American economy and society progressing
Sam
at the
Sam
at the
Dredd
disadvantage of everyone else, probably.
Sam Dredd is saying that the money is borrowed from the public and also other countries. The
Mm-hmm.
good thing is America can print their money to pay their debt,
Mm-hmm.
but they have to be careful of inflation, which is what you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Inflation and the adjustments for it. So they are allowing you to write off for more things. Renee, is that it? You can write off for like a new car,
No, no, no.
a boat.
So like your what we well, every individual ought to know who files taxes is that your the standard deduction is the money that they would take off the top of your earnings so that you're only taxed on the balance. Say you make $100 and the standard deduction is $40. So they won't tax you on that $40. You'll only be taxed on the $60, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, what percentage of tax roughly do Americans pay? And Belizeans pay 25%. That is set.
mhm,
So 25% of what you make, you pay. Uh,
Is that all totality of taxes, VAT and
across the board.
the other the sales taxes and all
well, the
those?
sale tax is different when you pay that when you
Oh,
go to
oh,
the store, no. But
oh,
this is
okay.
when you get your salary, 25% of the top comes out and goes it to the government. So
25%, that's kind of high.
it is
Yeah,
high.
but
I
but
was
usually it's scale because it's usually progressive kind of.
well. I mean, if the I don't know where I say that because if you make $200, that's still 25%, and if you make
Mm-hmm.
$2,000, that's still 25%. So I don't I see to me I always thought it was high. I thought they were really taking more from your money than they should.
Can
Well,
I
you
can
you
I
know,
stick? Sorry.
go
Can
ahead,
I
go
stick a
ahead.
pin and interject? And weeks ago, when you guys first invited me, there was a major story. I thought it was major. It wasn't treated as major by our media, unfortunately, and I'm a fierce critic. Um, regarding to me, it was a scathing rebuke by I believe it was a Council of the European Union regarding Belize's tax environment, that Belize is non-compliant with
Mm-hmm.
this with a tax regime, which I was hoping that we would get into an investigation, a conversation about that, because when I started in this profession 5 years ago, and as I learned things, I said, we are losing out on a whole lot. We're losing out on a whole lot, and most people would thumb their noses at their nose at the whole
You
idea of
mean
paying tax.
we in Belize are losing out on a whole lot?
I believe so. It places
But
an extraordinary burden on any leadership, any administration,
Mm-hmm.
when we're not properly collecting taxes.
Mm-hmm.
There's not, to me, that good relationship, that important relationship between government and citizens, working people.
Mm-hmm.
It's, I think it's way past time that we establish a proper system that we can all participate in, and get a better sense of
the
what our
pro-
monies are doing.
the problem is, Renee, everybody they hustle. Also the
Mm-hmm.
politicians. So the people don't
Hmm.
trust the politicians to say, "Oh, we're going to give you more. They do exactly what the politicians do, which is try to hide as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
The process of dishonesty that it does no good. But
Mm-hmm.
for the individuals, I imagine they feel like they're coming out ahead in some way, as opposed to not being totally chingard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
I.
think one of the let me just say this. I
Mm-hmm.
think one of the problem we have in Belize is that there are lots of tax cheaters. There are a lot of people that scapegoat and don't pay their fair taxes. And the people that are working for government or working in some specific thing where their income is clearly known and must be declared, that's where the burden rests, and that's a very it's a large amount, but it's not where most of the money is earned and captured. And so the government have always problem trying to get its revenue. And that's one of the reason that gas taxes are so high, the petrol, gasoline taxes and taxes for vehicles and such are so high, diesel and so forth for
But
operating businesses.
the government creates their
Let,
own problem with that. Seriously,
let me
because
just say one thing to finish that
yeah.
up. Then I'll jump off. Because those are the only ways that government can actually get the taxes. We see so much taxes that's being lost in this tourism sector that we have created and it's nurturing. A lot of the bookings are made in the US and those money never go to Belize, and I'm sure they're never declared as income. And because when they tell you about the booking and all the stuff that and occupancy and all that, and I'm talking pre-COVID and as it's coming back, the government never got its fair share, and there's no way for them to to do it without having
To track
strict
the police.
regime.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to have strict
Mm-hmm.
regime to do it.
I really want and I hope that when Mr. Koi joins us that we are able to discuss because I found
he's not coming in tonight, by the way.
right, but
Oh,
no,
okay.
on a future
I'm not
date.
sure. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it says the update of EU blacklists of non-cooperative jurisdictions. It was a scathing rebuke because for a very long time, I've not seen a press release that has some words in bold.
Mm.
Um, and I'll be
Oh, it was
happy
a
to.
it was in bold.
Yeah, there were some words that were highlighted that were bolded
But
as to
that's probably not in the report. That's probably
it
something
is.
that
I'm
somebody.
looking at the actual site. It was how powerful it was because
Oh, okay. I've never seen that where they
yeah,
do it stuff
And
in
I
you're
didn't
bold.
talking about as it refers to Belize?
as it refers to Belize and other non-compliant countries. I'm trying to find a juicy part of it to read for you, and um, but I felt that it was not that Belize is being rogue because we do collect taxes,
Hmm.
but it's the lack of a structure that anyone
Hmm.
can make sense of, um, that we can then, for what we do with other countries around the world, that they can make sense of what actually Belize actually generates in revenue,
Hmm.
get a true picture of what really is going on with Belize economically. And I think your tax structure tells a whole lot, as
Hmm.
that is the picture. I was able to tell prior to Donald Trump's victory, and prior to Donald Trump's loss, just by the tax returns that I had seen, um, I was able to tell who was likely to win, who was likely to lose.
What are
Hmm.
you seeing now?
Um, right now, well, I won't know yet because we haven't started yet. But by mid-January, by the end of January, I will have a good barometer.
Is
I will have
Trump Can Trump come back? Is Trump coming back?
because of the craziness of politics. Wherever you find politics, that's a to me a strong possibility,
Hmm.
a scary one for many, not only in the United States but around the world.
Mhm.
A scary one.
Well, I don't know because
But
I
you know
tell
this.
you what.
Go
Uh,
ahead, go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
the thing is that if you look at this, I think the president America now has is a warmonger. And that's dangerous because he has been fighting with everybody. He's going after everybody, even China, and what's the other nation that there's Korea. But
Oh,
I think that looking at Trump, for all his bad, because Trump not a crazy man, I think,
Hmm.
but at least he was trying to speak to these people, and he was getting a lot of backlash for it. I'm not a Trump supporter. Let me say that because I don't find him extremely bright. When you hear him speak, he doesn't make a lot of sense. But he must have some kind of sense to get where he got. I mean, how can you rise to the highest office in the land without sense? No, so he was doing something, and I think what people like about him was more business than statesman, if you will, more politician, more business person. But I think that Joe Biden likes war, and that frightens me.
I you speak in a way that I would wish every, especially the fervent Trump supporters would speak to me and help me make sense of what is his appeal to people, because by the same token there are people who are absolutely turned off, who just are revolted by the very idea, the name Trump.
Terrified,
um right,
terrified.
not only terrified, revolted, literally, you know. um but there is an appeal, but we find too that a lot of his appeal, in my opinion, he seems to appeal to people who we wouldn't call, to quote our former Prime Minister Dean Barrow, not the most sophisticated of thinkers. um
But
to
there are
put the,
some. There are some. I mean,
and
and wait, listen. He had
I
almost
I think
half of the voters
he
supported him. Half.
I think he have cross support across the entire country. He
Yeah.
does have certain appeal to some segments, but
Ethnic
hmm
groups,
but
of course. Yeah.
yeah, but even I can't remember the numbers, but I remember being told that, I can't remember with certainty, that probably about 30% of black people voted for
Yeah.
Trump.
But
You know,
yeah,
see,
he got.
it wasn't like devoid of, everybody was so
right,
incensed
right,
by
and
it.
all of them can't be stupid.
Yeah,
All
and
of
I've
them.
spoken to
Yeah,
people and they gave me the reason why they
Yeah.
black people, why they voted for Trump. And I could be in agreement with some of their reasoning why
But
they
but but
did,
but you know
you
what? From
know?
Jump Street, Trump's biggest problem was angering the mainstream media, and they
Yes.
went after him viciously. They misquoted him. They misconstrued what he was trying to say a lot of times. Because many times when I hear them giving reports of what Trump said, and what he was going to do, and you listen to the words coming out of Trump's mouth, they didn't. They weren't synonymous at all. So I think that a big part of his, you talk about his appeal, but let's talk about why people don't like him. And a big part of that is that the media really were, I mean, it's a full time job, even long after he was out of office. Every time they had a story, Trump had to be a part of that.
No.
and for
Well,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the media saw Trump in a way that only the media saw Trump. But still, they gave him the most press time of any candidate, any president this nation have ever known.
But
Even
not in a
now, out
fair
of
way.
office.
Not in a fair
No,
way.
but the Trump and the Trump team kind of view any type of media as good, as being in the
Yeah.
news, being the headline, and blocking out, because
But
sometimes even that negative blocks out what people know about Trump. They know about Trump and they're satisfied with it. And
Hmm.
so getting the chance to say something good about somebody else is blocked out, and so you never know that. But you either you love Trump in that regard, or you are offended or take offense to his to his positions and his being,
but I think that a lot of people like Trump because the other people don't like Trump. I don't know if you can understand what I'm
I
saying.
understand that. I understand that.
that
So
that that
That
could very
contrarian
much
type
be it,
of.
but I two won't look past Trump's shortcomings, Trump's straight up wrongdoings.
Name
You
a
know,
few.
I
Name a
was
few.
up close and practically center. My life partner is a law enforcement officer, and I watched with horror. He was not on the scene, but I watched with horror at what happened on January 6th at at the Capitol. And I at first, the cynic in me, and perhaps to a great extent to my wry sense of humor, I said, okay, America, you doing something that we have done before, because I remember the scene in front of the National Assembly back in, was it 2005?
Yeah, but that
Um,
that was not in response to the result of the elections.
right, but still, our people went in front of the National Assembly and
Yeah,
they
yeah.
made a scene. There was, if you will, uh, uh, uproar in front of
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
thing, and people wanted to storm the National Assembly, but the police was able to hold them off. Um, but to watch the audacity of somebody in this day and age say deny the results of well-meaning people, honest citizens who believe in a process, go to the polls, cast their votes, and a winner was decided by this process, say no, this was stolen, and you had a team of people come around him to say, yeah, this election was stolen. um, and watch it, watch all that has evolved into. Can we look past that? Had we allowed for Mr. Trump to remain in office based on his what he was saying, that this election was stolen?
Well, we could not have, and there was no move on the foot to do that. He was never he that was lost from the start. That could not have succeeded.
But I watched a system trying to figure out what the heck they were going to do. They let that whole thing happen in the capital all day. People got killed, um, and this nonsense ensued all for the whole day practically. And here we are now getting ready for another election, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do about something that was wrong. And every day I watch.
They a lot of people went to jail, and it's certain it was not a good
Right,
thing.
but
Let's be real.
we haven't addressed the person who the main catalyst for this whole thing.
But it couldn't have been just him. I mean, that
Right,
man movement, that man
right.
move.
Well, now they just got around to trying Giuliani, and
Yeah,
there
right.
is that case, and I will tell you proudly, I can't call names, but I'll tell you proudly that there's a Belizean involved in that whole what's going on in Atlanta. um Very proud of her, very proud of her. And I can't divulge, but to watch that it had to come to this, to bring people to trial. It should not have happened. I said, man, we are a little more sophisticated than that in Belize. Trump downfall. I'm reading the Sam Dredd. Good night, Sam Dredd. Trump downfall was his foreign policy. He wanted to get rid of NATO. He got cozy with North Korea, among other things. Now, where you stand on these issues is,
That's, yeah.
Yeah, because
subjective to
what,
me.
what do you say now about Biden wanting to put NATO into, say, Ukraine, into they want to make NATO
Yeah.
more of a
Yeah.
force to deal with in that area. So that two sides of that story. I don't
Hmm.
know that Trump wanted to get rid of it. I think he just didn't want to see the expansion of it, like the Republicans do.
But then do we watch? Do we sit by and watch? If we belong to these organizations, do we sit by and watch a man march his army over into a nation, a sovereign nation, and kill its people because you want to capture their land? Do we are we What are we saying then? Because there's Guatemala over there salivating over our territory. Now there's Venezuela over there salivating over Guyanese territory. What are we saying when we somehow can rationalize, I'm not going to say justify, but rationalize what is happening. I don't understand how anybody in their right mind, any leader, especially of a country like America that enjoys some kind of prominence, if you will, can sit by and mouth shut over, to me, what is injustice.
Well,
But
hold on a second.
we
Yeah.
do have, when we make that type of move and stuff, and acceptance, create a sort of provocation when we want to put NATO right on their doorstep. I mean, going way back to Mikhail Gorbachev, when the Soviet Union disintegrated, part of the agreement at that time was that they were not going to allow any of those Soviet bloc countries to become part of NATO. That was the agreement the US and Britain had, and probably France had,
Hmm.
with Russia, with the Soviet Union at the time. And then they started accepting first, Germany. That was probably a natural, but then they start accepting more and more and more, until countries up and down the coast, within very striking distance of the Soviet Union, being part of NATO. So that was unacceptable. That would be unacceptable even to the United States, when we had the
Missile
missiles
crisis, indeed.
coming into Cuba, right in our
Indeed.
hemisphere. We were very upset of it and felt extremely threatened by it,
And
and
it's not
was willing
popular
to
to be
do.
honest. It's not
Yeah,
popular to be honest, but you need
Hmm.
to be honest
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
So we really, and there was no reason for the expansion, well, I can't speak for the whole thing, but
Hmm.
for against the Soviet Union, when we look at what the Soviet true capacity is. So something else is going on. There's domination and control that some hegemonic power is trying to establish, and NATO is just a part of it.
Well,
Something
look,
else is
look
going
at
on
look.
that we're not aware of, because the Soviet Union represents no threat ever, after Russia represents no threat to NATO after it had disintegrated from the Soviet Union to be doing all that they're
Hmm.
doing. And if we just look at the budget, the United States budget compared to Russia's budget is so many tens of times more. And when you add all these other countries' budget, technology, and manpower, something is going on, and we need to kind of figure it out, I guess.
Right, but then is the response to, or any objection to the widening of NATO, and is the response to defy all that and go and invade countries and kill innocent citizens? I can't marry the
Rene,
two.
Rene, Rene, Rene. When America went into um, uh, uh,
Iraq.
Afghanistan,
Oh,
Iraq,
yeah.
Iraq,
Hmm.
Iraq,
Hmm. Hmm.
um, and they now are admitting that it was a mistake. I heard Biden at us. They say we made mistakes. That was bad.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Soviet Union didn't jump up and go out there. So and there are a lot of people killed. They destroyed that country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to look at, are we going to be fair in how we're going to treat this or not? I mean,
Yeah.
are we, what do we support and what do we condemn?
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
we
I
have to
just
go across the
condemn.
board,
I condemn the slaughtering of innocent citizens, and likewise what I'm watching, and we had our little debate regarding Belize's what would you call it, revocation of diplomatic ties with, or
Yes.
severing of diplomatic ties with Israel.
Yes.
um, I thought it to be extreme, but by the same token, do I co-sign in any way? Do I applaud in any way the slaughtering of innocent citizens
Hmm.
over in Gaza? Hell no,
Yeah. Yeah.
hell no. You know,
well, apparently the U.S. does, because the U.S. are one of the few, every vote, they're one of the few, in fact, if not only
they
two,
abstained.
who have not only
They
Yeah.
abstained,
abstained
voted
just recently.
against. They
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
voted against.
152 countries voted against. I think
yeah,
20 countries voted for, and probably like another 10 countries abstain or something of that
Yeah, the
sort.
UK, I think, is abstaining, and
Uh-huh.
these are. I don't know that the United Nations is properly structured in that regard. because if you have 155 countries, that's a consensus. And they're
Yeah,
saying, now listen, this we're not going to allow this to happen. And then one country,
yeah,
because they're a member of some Security Council, can say, you know what, for no vote no matter at all. This
yeah,
is going
yeah,
to go ahead. We'll continue with it.
yeah.
Something is wrong there,
Yeah.
and
Well, we know the structure of it is obsolete now, and it somehow
needs to be
needs to
restructured.
be
Mhm.
revisited. Yeah,
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 I think it
yeah,
does. And let us
yeah,
get some equity, no? Let us get some real
yeah, yeah.
good voting power on the part of the Security Council is not, and I don't think that's necessary again. Really, I think that the United
Hmm.
Nations can police itself, but
Well, I don't know.
It makes me
I
question a
don't know
lot
if it doesn't need the. I don't know if it's obsolete. I know its voting mandate is obsolete. It shouldn't
the
have the veto
viability of.
power. It shouldn't have the veto power. But as those countries, the larger countries, because a lot of countries don't spend the time and resource to know the stuff. So I just think the fact that they could outrule 152 countries or any number in that regard, one country
ridiculous,
is
ridiculous.
Mhm.
is 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 off. It's not sane or democratic or in any way practical and solutions provide solution to the crisis and the situations of the world today.
I hope that something happens pretty soon because the way we're going, it doesn't look good. The one world that's being divided now upon these two philosophies. One, whether we should allow something like this to happen, or whether we should speak out against it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um, you got a problem when you have the big countries that are willing to do anything to satisfy their desires,
yeah.
and have the power to do it. And for small countries like ours, and this was the problem with it, Rene, in Belize doing that, and I support it. I believe that we have
Mhm.
to, somebody has to speak up. And regardless of how small you are, the fact that we spoke out and do something should make the other countries who haven't feel really badly, because they get up and give a lot of lip service to everything, but they don't take any action, concrete action, something that could get some results or at least make a dent in what is happening. I am proud of us for standing up. I
Well,
just hope that those countries maintain their status quo of being fair and not just be vindictive. You know, I mean, because they can. I mean, a small we rely a lot upon the Americans for our economy, and there are a lot of things that we rely
mhm.
upon that we could be affected by. I don't know if the shortage of sugar got anything to do with it.
I think that's just our pirate ways reflecting itself.
I still can't understand
I
that.
got sugar. I
Yeah.
had abundance of sugar. I ain't got, I didn't have no worries purchasing sugar
You in
over the
Belize?
holidays.
Are you in
I come and
Belize?
send sugar to Belize.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
over
yeah, yeah,
there,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
that's for we sugar to buy.
I
That's why
believe
we
so.
can't get none.
Nicely
No,
packaged too. I love it.
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
But
yeah.
yeah. The sugar, I think it's ridiculous because you have to provide for your needs first before
Well,
you know.
I don't think it's a government policy. I think it's the misbehavior of the system
Yeah,
that
but then
caused the
that's a failure.
shortage.
That's a failure on the part of the government then,
No,
because
I
they're the
understand, but I
that's
said
why they're there.
policy. I said policy. I don't think it was the policy of government that caused the shortage. The policy of government is that you must provide the supply for the local market before, in addition to having your export market. But because there seemed to be a very porous border, a lot of unscrupulous and unethical
Polit- pol-
customers, politicians,
politicians, they turn a blind eye.
and
Yeah.
businesses, they allow the supply that was allocated for the local market to be exported at a higher price into the our neighboring market. And then still they complain that our trade is only 25 million with Mexico, and in terms of balance of trade, 25 million with Mexico, and 5 million with Guatemala, or 10 million with Guatemala. So we do need to change those statistics quite a bit in our favor. Or I don't know if we'll ever get the parity or close to what we need to get, but we certainly have more products than 25 millions that we can offer to Mexico, and we certainly have more products than 5 or 10 million
Well,
that we can
well,
offer to Guatemala.
Belize was always touted as a potential food basket for the entire
Yes,
region,
Hmm.
yes,
because
yes.
a fertile land, we grew a lot of stuff. And we're doing better than we were, but not as
Mm-hmm.
good as we can,
Mm-hmm.
because our people are not. Take for instance the situation in Toledo, where a lot of stuff can be grown, but they're
Mm-hmm.
fighting over the control of the land, who's going to get what, as opposed to let's do it as a national issue.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we Belizeans are provided for. Number one, we grow the stuff we need, and
Mm-hmm.
then we grow enough to put something on the market, so that we can get some foreign exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So we can look at it, and there are improvements that can be made. I hope something will
Mm-hmm.
happen sooner than later.
Yeah,
Uh,
we do need proper land policy and
Hmm.
allocation of land, and make sure that the land that are, the countries typically would do surveying and determine which land should stay as lands dedicated for agricultural production. And you can't do anything with those lands, even if it's private land. It's categorized for agriculture. So um, I hope that even when we talk about Maya land rights claim, that the government is able to establish these things. But until they do those kind of thing and say this land in this area here is can only be used for agriculture, and
I
we don't
I
and we set it up so that you don't have breaches and corruption that could infringe upon that, so that all of a sudden somebody could put a little condo or put an office building or something like that in
I
those
I
spaces.
have I have a
What
plan.
is it, question, gentlemen? What is it that prevents us year after year, decade after decade, from properly developing policy and following through? Like land issue is, uh,
Ongoing. Yeah.
yeah, recurring.
Yeah.
There are several recurring issues that have, to me,
Hmm.
now expanded, and we're seeing now something. The Maya land issue is evolving into something that, to me, is
Hmm.
not looking too pretty, because I listened to Christina, who I have a Miss Cook, who I have a lot of respect for,
Hmm.
but to me, in her delivery regarding the Maya land rights, and even her quoting 90% of the Toledo district, which I understand that she wasn't saying that the Maya can lay claim to 90% of the Toledo district, but it's how those things can be interpreted. And I think that when, to me, government is um kind of hopping around, or even, to me, trying to avoid dealing with certain issues, or certain issues that it is the government's responsibility, because we can't, as citizens, can't make these rules on our own and enforce them. What is it that has prevented our administrations, one after the other?
I have a plan. I have a
Hmm.
plan. 1981, we got independence. Since 1981, we've had two political parties running the show, almost on equal basis, as far
Hmm.
as time.
Yes, yes.
And then we've had, every time, many times when one party goes out and the next one comes in, the same minister takes over the same portfolio. So there aren't that many ministers that have had those portfolios. Now I'm thinking about land Ministry of Lands in particular. Gapi Vega was there for a long time.
Hmm.
We need to do something about all the wrong that has been done. For instance, when China was getting ready uh, when the lease with Hong Kong was over,
Hmm.
a lot of Chinese thought that they were going to lose all their money, everything was going to go capitalist again, and so they ran or communists, and they ran to Belize and bought up a lot of property. That's where Harmonyville came in, because one Chinese guy bought up a lot of property.
Hmm.
How can somebody buy so much property? How much did they pay? Where did the money go? How much money was legal? How much was passed under the table? It should not be that difficult. Let us start, put a cutoff point 1981, and from there on, look at these politicians, what they have been doing. It doesn't matter red or blue. Let us stop being so partisan and realize
Mm-hmm.
that Belize, the interest of Belize has to be paramount above any allegiance to any political party.
Never have I seen anywhere that we have come up with every excuse. When I say, well, I mean our politicians, our leaders have come up with every excuse to avoid securing the rights and resources of Belizeans. OSH, the Occupational Safety and Health
Mm-hmm.
bill,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the UNCAC, and what I've seen now is a new thing they started now is gaslighting citizens. I've used the term a lot because what one will say as in the current administration, we're going to investigate and we're going to conduct this what do you call it, the commission of inquiry. um
Mm-hmm.
Case in point, the recent definitive agreement
Mm-hmm.
with the that Erwin Contreras
Portugal. Yeah.
signed, and they're going to investigate. Then they were going to go after Rene Montero, and they grabbed a few vehicles. See what we're doing is gaslighting the citizens rather than taking decisive action on what is a crime.
Well, it doesn't go anywhere. They start something and blow it up as if they're doing something big. Everybody gets pacified, and oh yes, we're
Yeah, we
finally doing,
satisfied because
and
no, they
nothing
shame because Irwin
happens.
named the out there and Contreras named the out there, and that we and our society feeds off this. But when will we take decisive action? When the UDP back in, and I'm not remembering the year that Said Musa was and Ralph Fonseca were arrested,
Yeah.
um,
It was right
in
after the
relation,
election. Yeah.
right? Again, it was a huge show, and it was a narrative that then the UDP created to feed to their base,
Mm-hmm.
um
Mm-hmm.
which could not stand up in court because the evidence was clear, and I was fortunate at that time to have seen that evidence, but it was clear, but it was a narrative that was created. And again, as long as we don't have transparency, which our leaders seem to find a way every time to not be transparent.
Do you know who represented Ralph Fonseca and got him off? I
Mm-hmm.
bet, did you know? Michael
Uh,
Michael
Perfect. Right.
Perifit, who is
Right.
now the chairman of the United Democratic
Yeah.
Party.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the party
So
prosecuting him.
here's the corrupt system
You
of
see,
UDP, PDP,
it's crazy.
UPDP,
It's
right?
crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
It,
crazy.
it,
Yeah, because they're
yeah.
working together against the people. But
Mm-hmm.
the people
Mm-hmm.
don't see that. The people work together against themselves. And they support, right or wrong, they support all the way
Mm-hmm.
across the board. And it's a crazy situation, no? So, Renee, how it was Christmas? You're not a Christmas person? You believe in
Uh,
Christmas?
well, I'm a Christmas person for not the religious aspect of it per se. It's not to say I don't believe in God, but
Do you believe in
uh
Jesus?
uh no, I believe in the supreme power, but
Well, do you believe in Jesus?
yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So, and is Jesus the supreme power?
Yes, I do. I believe in. I have that. I'm not a religious. I don't go to church. I
You're kind of like the murky the water there.
no no no.
Uh,
I know
you
I
you're
I I
not
know God.
you're not a religious fanatic,
I'm not a
but you
religious, but
believe
I
in
do
God.
believe.
You
Yes, I
believe in
believe in.
God as the Holy Trinity or as one force, one
I believe in
being.
God as a supreme power.
Right. But you
Hmm.
said you believe in Jesus as the
I believe
supreme
in
power.
Jesus, His Son. And that thing that they teach. Which I am skeptical about. But I do believe in a higher power.
Right,
I
but
do
if you
believe in
if you believe in you're not
a
skeptical.
higher and good power. I believe in a higher and good power. I believe that God is good, and He's the supreme power. But as to the details of the Bible and all that stuff,
You don't got time for that.
No, no.
Yeah.
But Christmas, I take all of these holidays, every holiday actually, to give thanks. Um, I've been blessed. I've been blessed, and I take all these holidays to just give thanks, and that's what I did. For me, giving thanks is appreciating those around me. Making sure that I spent a good amount of hours up cooking and sharing food and breaking bread together. For me, that's what Christmas is, and I will be repeating same for New Year's. Giving thanks.
Well, I think that's even more important than believing, actually.
Hmm.
Because when you give thanks, you be grateful,
I am.
and
I
that's
am.
where we're now going. You're back with us, Greg.
Yes, yeah. No, I
Yeah.
had just stepped away for a minute to I don't know what happened. My computer wasn't charging.
Okay.
It wasn't at a full charge, so I had to put the cable
It's
to it.
cable in, no? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so Renee, what make you jump in for with tonight, man? You surprised me.
I got
I,
a I got
I
an
see where I gotta look
invitation.
for you.
I got an invitation, and I wasn't gonna squander it because actually I wanted to discuss with you, G Mike, and get a feel from your Mr. Morrison. Um, I watched these stories of the deaths of young people in Belize. I could remember back to my teenage years. Um, what are we doing? What are we doing? I feel that this administration came into office with a new zest to do something about the carnage. Um,
It has gone down. The rate of murders have gone down. I think, though, and to get straight to the point, is that we give too much authority, if you will. We pay too much credence to the politicians. And the politicians are there, they'll come and go, they will thief, they will lie, they will do all of that. But the people of Belize have to come together themselves and decide what to do about this situation. First of all, the children are not getting the type of education we got when we were growing up. They don't get the kind of guidance that we got, the type of discipline that we got, and that's a problem. We try to compensate and we overcompensated for what we didn't have growing up. We were talking earlier about how poor we were growing up, but there's one thing we did get was direction, or get your
mhm,
ass whipped if you didn't
mhm,
go the right way. And when they got to the point, I see when Belize followed the international community and decided we can't discipline children anymore, that
corporally,
that was one step in the wrong direction.
I
You have to
concur.
have that there at least as a last resort.
I
You don't
concur.
want nobody to beat your picnic for no reason, for any reason. I could tell you, my situation when I was growing up. I could understand where I got my ass whipped, because I did. I was a
Likewise.
trouble kid. Um, but no, and if I didn't get that lecture and that understanding that it was wrong, I might have been a different person. So I think that
Do you
when we talk,
feel
uh,
do you feel that we are lacking in a lot of resources, not only in crime fighting, but um, I feel that we have, over the years, again, through different administrations, we have not invested enough um, in terms of ensuring that young people are in school,
I
um,
think we put too
and
much emphasis
other
on that, though.
other
Because what?
resources, though.
Let me tell you. I see these people that are in there stealing. They have enough. They don't even have to steal. When you look at the salary of one of these high officials, I also know people who are dirt poor that would not steal a dime. They will
Hmm.
find your money and bring it back to you.
Hmm.
So that one moral issue more than a financial issue. I think we have, when a person has scruples, have values, they will learn how to make do with what they have without going and taking what is not theirs. a person that can have all that these people have, which they have cars and amount to pay for. You know, they don't need to spend a penny till they get out of government, and
Mm-hmm.
yet they embezzle so much funds from the people who really need it. So, I to answer that question, it's not that we're not putting enough because the schools are there and children are going and getting education when their parents allow them to. Maybe a lot of parental and guidance is also what is missing, because there's no way I could have missed a class and my parents didn't know, or I didn't get suffer the consequences. I remember one time at Banghuki, and when I get home, the teacher the dead at my house, the wait, because she gonna find out why I didn't go to school. So, and you know, I can't tell you how I had to run for us for hours. I not gone back home, and when I got home, I still suffer the consequences. So,
Yeah.
and it didn't kill me for sure. I think it made me stronger. It made me a person that looks at things now, but I don't think we're passing on the value to the children.
You know, I want to say that truly the society has changed, the structure of it, but part of it mainly though, I was reading something, and it's a book, and it basically tells you that part of the problem of the society is the lack of a two parent family structure
Yeah,
for
there's hardly any
for
more. Yeah.
yeah, and so that has really weakened our society. And so if you don't have it, we have to find ways to bring that other parent in,
But that,
particularly the
that
male, the father figure into that family,
I
by
am
an uncle, by a friend, by a grandpa, by someone that can serve that, because it does create a necessary balance for kids, especially the boys, and for girls too,
and the
because they're the
TV,
one I was going to get to that one. They're the one that are creating most of the havoc in the society. And we I was going to say, from the TV, since its introduction, it has crippled our society, because it was the cause for how our country got caught up in this gang situation, right?
mhm.
And it is the cause for many of the things we see in terms of wanting stuff and not working for it. It has caused a demand and a greed in our society, where people think they're just entitled to something because they want it and you have it, they go get it from you. So those are some of the real problems
There
that
goes
we
that word.
have.
But my question is, like, growing up, my dad used to be a truancy officer, and I remember I had the misfortune also of my parents being very good friends with a great lady by the name of Hercelet Moody. She was the principal of St. Ignatius Primary School.
knew her well.
Ah, they were close. They were very good friends, almost like sisters.
So
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 I could have
so
try
she
some
knew
too.
everything that you did. She knew.
Mm. And when Hercelet Moody issued a punishment to any of us, and my parents knew before we got home, because then she followed that up with a call, um, and
Or
then
a note
likely
with
she would
another
be
student.
visiting. Yeah, she would
Right.
be visiting the house. Sometimes we come home from school and she's sitting there in the living room. Um, so there was no getting away from it. But I also knew of students who were in the norm of going to, like, Yabra. They would go to Banghoki to go to Yabra to swim,
Mhm.
but they knew of the presence of Ruben Nunez in the area looking for these truants,
Uh-huh.
and they avoided him. There was a fear, there was a respect. Do
Uh-huh.
we even have truancy officers anymore?
No, we don't. And I remember as a young kid, they used to talk about that. And G Mike, like you, I banged hooky once, but it wasn't a full day. And actually, I didn't intend to bang hooky. The funny thing is, I intended to just go and get some plum and take it to school. That time, the trees right behind, I think in the same area where my family home is now, because that was the only area that was opened up. It was like the last street from St. James Street, to get across there. And so We went and got plum, and I didn't realize the time had passed so much until the people in the house next door, I heard them turn up the radio, and I said, "Oh my goodness, it's 9 o'clock now. I can't go to school because school starts at 8:30."
Mm-hmm.
And so my friend and I, like three of us, they were used to it. We just sat in that yard the whole time, and that was the longest 3 hours.
Hmm.
And then and then and then in the afternoon when I was supposed to go home, I kind of missed the time again. So I'm going home later
Too
than I
late.
should normally be home for the lunchtime to get back to school. So I
Mm-hmm.
hurry up and went home, coming from totally the wrong direction, right? Because I didn't have time to go around and pretend like I came from school, coming from totally the wrong direction. And then finally got home, and my mom is like, "How come it took you so long to get home?" Because I'm probably getting home like 15 minutes past the time that I would normally get home from for the lunch break. But I did go back to school in the afternoon, and I don't remember how I presented my absence in the morning, but it didn't get back to my mom, and so nobody knows that story until I tells
Yo,
No,
no, yo.
you did better than I did because I went to Holy Redeemer and I had the bank hooky. Not going in school, but I'm on the grounds and I
You bang
when
hooky and the grounds at this whole
yeah,
redeemer?
yes, I had by the vat. They just they hang out. I might pass, having to pass at the same time though on a bike, and I had the edge on the edge of the canal and drop in. Boy,
Oh.
boy, if I stay up there all day to try to get dry, and them clothes would not get dry. I did never try it again after the lashing where I get there, boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to talk
Mm-hmm.
about sunning because you're going to talk about the finances and money and whatnot and to do things. The constitutional reform seems to be dead in the water. But I was talking to somebody the other day and they're telling me they need $3 million to do it. And I'm like, why? First of all, the book not that big, number one. Number two, can't we get people to volunteer their times, in particular the people who are doing it, those who have gotten filthy rich off the country already?
Well,
Can't
you
we
know,
have? Uh-huh.
I'm gonna question the money for it. I think it is a cost that the government will incur and they must pay. And I don't expect individuals, anyone, to do it for free.
For
If
an
they so
exercise like
choose,
that, why
for an
would you not?
exercise like that, if they so choose, let that be so. But I'm thinking the government has money for everything. The government just gave Ashcroft $600 million, right? So to tell me you don't have $3 million, you can't find $3 million, then cancel some of those things that they keep begging for, in Taiwan, and use the money that to do the constitutional reform. They
I
want they
wish
they're
we.
spending $5 million to redo
Yeah, but
the the
you're the jump all over the place, and I wish we had time to argue this because let us stick with this. Forget what they give in Ashcraft and what they give somebody else. We could deal with that at a different time.
No, I was just drawing
But why
parallel.
why cannot we how are we gonna how we so love this country, we want to see things happen and we can't even volunteer a, a month or two, not full time, but in working with something like this, looking over it, presenting the people what they think the changes should be and why, as opposed to just looking at the money figure all the time. And everybody wants, I don't want 3 million myself, give me 3 million, I'll do it. I'll read the whole thing and put it down and tell me what you think. But I think we have to be more patriotic as opposed to everybody to try dig as much money as they can out of
I
government. Yeah.
I can agree with both sides with you, G Mike, suggesting that people volunteer. And I know talented citizens that I believe could do this kind of work, and I agree with you, Mr. Morrison, also that what it's professional technical work. This is the nation's Bible, if you will. Um, why would anyone volunteer that kind of talent? I think that paying somebody for that kind of work will or ought to um, engender the kind of seriousness and commitment that you can then require from somebody doing that, or from people doing that kind of work. um why ask people to volunteer? Say we don't have $3 million. Say we don't have $3 million, then I would, yeah, agree that good citizens, talented citizens can contribute to this effort. But um
It's not a matter of not having, it's a matter of priority. The
and that's
government, and one more thing, if the
mhm.
government doesn't allocate the money, it's because they don't want to move ahead with it because the money is there. They can find the money
Here's the funny
to
thing,
do
though.
Just like
this.
the ash bill, just like several
Mhm.
other things,
Yeah,
lofty ideas that were filed 13th.
here's a funny thing, because you know that it was found out that 98% of the Belizeans have not even opened the Constitution, don't know
Hmm.
what's in there, don't care what's in there. What are we going to change? What do we need to change? Can you think of one thing in there, Renee? I can think of one, and I said just remove the minister's discretion, the part that says minister's discretion. That's it. But apart from that, what do we what will require such studious work, such technical work to come up with something commonsensical? Because basically, what is in there is just one guideline anyway. The
Hmm.
substantive laws of the country that when we deal with
Mhm.
with the nitty gritty of the matter. But we have the Constitution, which is the supreme law. I don't see why it should take so long and so much money. I really don't. Um,
And that was my other question at the beginning. What's the impetus for this? I was invited to a meeting, Zoom meeting with the where they engaged some members of the diaspora.
Mhm.
And well, I heard great ideas and I vented my frustration, but I walked away asking the question why? Because what will change? How does this
Indeed,
impact me?
good question. Very good question.
Yeah.
What will
Well,
change?
yeah.
Even
Well,
when the words in that document change, what will change as far as the attitude of the Belizean people to do better for this country?
But if they
well,
don't know
that's
better, if they don't know better, if we are not encouraged, we are not, the Constitution is not taught from level one to all the way up, and there's acknowledgement of the of your rights and your obligation as a Belizean. um Nothing changes, and it's one of the reasons I'll speaking from out here, one of the reasons I have lowered my engagement, if you will, watching the news at home, because it frustrates me. It literally frustrates me. I ask, why are these things happening? But this organization or this entity, or should look into this and should take care. So why this shouldn't be happening to this citizen at home, because we have a law that says so and so. And so I felt, I went in as a skeptic, and I remain skeptical, because that question has not been answered for me, as to what will change for Belizeans, whether we
yeah.
live at home or not.
Yeah, and I share your concern and skepticism about it. I do though, and one of the things that makes me more of a skeptic is that this came out of the blue to me. I did not, going into this election, knew from this government that they had any intent to do this type of wholesale um, revision of our constitution. I always knew there were some problems with it, and there is always some problems over time that's discovered about every constitution, and those could be fixed with an amendment. And that's the way to have done it. But I think they went in more wholeheartedly into it, thinking they could ram whatever agenda they had, and they have seen that it's not going to be. We're not hearing you, G Mike.
Hmm.
We're still not hearing you. So I'll continue. So
Yeah.
the government have seen that they are not going to have the all with it to just ram whatever they want over the people in this change, and so they're getting a little. They always knew they had to spend money, but they're getting more stingy and saying, "Oh, it's costing us an extra $3 million above what we had budgeted."
Anything,
But
anything yet?
yes, we
Yes,
can
we're
hear you
hearing
now.
you.
All right, because what happened? The chairman run over the card from the mic. One
Oh, unplugged it.
ridiculous. Yeah. So you hear me now? Yeah.
Right.
Yes,
So I
yes.
When
think
hmm
on part you might be right, Greg, in that they had a motive. They wanted something in there, and I forget what it was. Oh, it was to deal with Shine too. And I don't think that they bargained for what they got. That in fact people
Hmm.
came on board and got
Hmm.
serious about it
Yeah.
and decided, oh, you want change? There are lots of things we need for change about it. And
Hmm.
then some people started reading it, which was the good part of it.
Hmm.
But
hmm
at
Hmm.
the end of the day, now they couldn't say, well, because the thing was to make Shine disqualify him from running. That
Hmm.
was what they were really after. I thought it
Hmm.
was silly because they were really going after something that wasn't as significant as they were giving it
Yeah. Yeah.
credit for.
Yeah.
Shine came in. Shine is one person, and until you run for a prime minister as a part of, as opposed to a part of a government, he's ineffective.
hmm
The UDP right now do not have enough people to even form a serious slate, and it was a sad thing. Um, I think the election of Shine to that position is a mistake. He's not popular enough, not within the country of Belize, not within his own party. It is a cause for a lot of division in there. If you noticed the other day with the Israeli thing, when even former Prime Minister Dean Barrow came out and opposed it and stood against what the Israelis were doing, Shine stood up and supported it because he's supposed to be a Jew. So I am not happy at all with the Shine matter, but I don't think it was worth the effort for the PUP to try to change
Yeah.
the whole constitution just to deal with that.
I think they were thinking more of even taking us down the path of a republic and getting rid
Am I
of the.
hearing you? Is it?
Can you hear me?
hmm
Uh,
I said
I can hear.
I
oh
believe
yes.
they were thinking also of creating a situation where it would be presented that we'd be a republic and probably getting rid of the relationship for a governor general
Which
and
is
so
stupid.
forth. So
Which is
so so
stupid.
I think they had a bigger agenda and they
But
realized that it's not
eh,
going to float
it's not
well
gonna fly.
this time.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not going to float
How
well
in the
this time.
hell are you gonna the only thing that's keeping you sovereign
Yeah.
is not your BDF, is not anything except the fear that if they can mess with we, they have to mess with England too.
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to go republic and say, well, we old enough now, we could stand up on our own?
Some
Not
of these
really have
people
a
might fifth columnist is a true thing. It's not a false it's a truism. It's a truism. They're traitors in every organization, in every party, in every country that works for the interests of the enemy against the interests of the people they're
Do you
supposed to
think we have
serve.
people? You have people among us? Do you really think
I,
Huh.
that
s-
they would?
I
Do
say
you want
I
me to answer
say
that
that in
question?
every society and in every organization there are people that are traitor to what you believe is the cause that they say they are supporting.
I wouldn't too readily agree with that. I think
Oh,
on the
why would you
issue,
I
not? It's
wholeheartedly
history.
agree.
well, because
The history proves it.
I
History
think
proves
no,
it.
no, 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 not the narrative that you're doing there. I think that in the Belize Guatemala issue, even a lot of the Guatemalans that came over support Belize. I don't see where anybody would be working with the enemy in that way. I
You
just
don't
don't.
think so? You don't
I
think
don't
so?
think so.
Oh,
I
Mm,
don't.
I
And maybe it's
appreciate.
wishful thinking. Maybe
Yeah,
it's wishful thinking.
it's hard to believe that there would be, but it has time and time proven that there are people in tough organization that you say, wow, that they're passing information to other people and they're undermining the strength and the integrity. Some of them with their own cause and interest, and not with the same purpose you think, but their behavior and betrayal in the end cause the same effect.
I will remain more optimistic on that one. I am, but
hmm.
then again, yeah, I've been wrong before. So if
Yeah.
I'm wrong, you have to forgive me.
Well,
But
I hate to be right, but I believe sincerely that there are people within our government that constantly betrays the interests of the country to serve either their own personal economic interests or their political interests.
I agree.
they're not going
I
to win.
agree.
They're
I
not going to
agree.
win.
I hate to have to, I will purse my mouth.
We
I agree
we
with you.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock. Renee, we want to
Good
thank you
call.
for joining us tonight and bailing us out there. Rest me and Greg, man, to talk about foolishness all night. I never did get to talk about the event in the park, which was hugely successful. There's
Yes.
SCY sister, by the way, did the face painting and thing.
Uh-huh.
Um, we
Oh,
had, we
I,
had some,
I saw a lot of kids, and I saw it seemed to me that everyone walked away with a little gift there,
yeah,
Mr.
man,
Morrison.
everybody,
So,
awesome.
not everybody got what they might have wanted, but we
well,
certainly
that's
got.
different, right?
Yeah, we had at the end of it, even close to crunch time, and lady from city council, one of the city councilors actually came up and gave us a number of gifts. So that was
Okay.
able to fill it out. So we got everybody got some. We had a
Yes,
horse and carriage.
I saw that.
I put a post up. That boy got some crazy responses.
Okay.
And there were
Yes, yes, with where you did not get the
The
interest
right
response from
of
with
the
the lead Calypso
tree.
car.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
which and it seems that people and that's the funny thing with that because other people have had the experience and have seen that side of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Something is wrong. The man was quite rude, really. Then not like I
Oh,
Mm-mm.
gone to and he said, "Well, boy, maybe not." Though I tell you, I'll be honest with you. I had on a shirt with a Palestinian flag on it, so
maybe he's of a contrary belief on it, and
I
that's
believe
what.
that that
I could
might be.
understand also
Uh,
if there's concerns for insurance and what have you, but
But
the kind of response
express that.
that you got,
Right.
um
Well, it was
Yeah,
unnecessary.
yeah.
yeah,
He could have said something like that. All he said to me is, "What we don't deal with locals,"
no,
and
no,
I'm
no,
like,
no,
"What?
Yeah, yeah,
mm-mm,
You
yeah,
can't do that," you
yeah,
know?
mm-mm.
yeah.
Because let me say this too. There's a beautiful arrangement of lights by Brody's, not far from Brody's, about two ways over, with all kinds of stuff on the lawn and whatnot. Beautiful, beautiful arrangement. I posted a video of it, but I went to ask the lady one time if I could bring the kids by and just take a closer
Oh,
look.
Uh-huh.
She told me, no. No, and I said, what kids? And I said, well,
Uh-huh.
I'll be honest with you, that's outside kids. She said, no, 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 no. I prefer them watch from outside. Now, I could even relate to that better, though I was
Mhm.
disappointed. I could
Mhm.
more relate to that because if the kids go in and up, they maybe broke it up or whatnot. If you can lead train like that and put a few children on there for a lead ride with Santa Claus, there's not much that's likely to happen.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah.
mean
Well,
spirited.
yeah, that I said he could have given you a way to work something out and express his particular concern they would
Right.
than to just be dismissive.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, no, it didn't make sense at all. Guys,
Hmm.
thank you very much. I never think this evening will go so easy. I said, well, we might have to cut this one short, but we
No,
didn't.
we need more time, and we miss our colleague, Mr. Jose, and we
Yeah,
hope to
yeah,
see him next
yeah,
week.
yeah. So,
Right.
Renee, thanks a lot.
G Mike, I
Any
thank
parting
you,
words?
Mr. Morrison. Well, I want to certainly wish everyone at home uh very safe New Year. and a more prosperous, and I mean prosperous in that if you are not employed, you don't have an employer, you may be able to create something of your own employment. Um, Wishing everyone just a better 2024. Somebody characterized 2023 as the recovery year, or the year we were actually coming out of COVID. So I hope that 2024 for many at home will be a better one economically. As someone who lives in the diaspora, I know all too well of the messages, desperate messages from our people at home, some of our people at home looking for assistance. And I
Send
just
your
hope that things get better. It's not frivolous requests. Some people, many
send your
people,
remittances, baby. Send your
we
remittances.
do, but we do have, or we're facing our own challenges over here.
Indeed.
Wherever we are, the bills in America are big, and that's why I count my blessings. I sincerely wish everyone a more prosperous 2024. Thank you.
Respect. Gregory, you out?
I,
You
I
good?
just wanted to I just wanted to join in that what Renee said, that we wish that people will continue to be safe and live through the new year. We know that there's always seem to be some accidents and stuff on the road. So, and a lot of it usually contributes to some of the recklessness of drinking and driving. And so I hope that they'll take heed. And we just lost, I think, in the last month or two, like almost 10 people from road accident. And so I hope they exercise caution and enjoy it safely. And Happy New Year.
Well, I was telling somebody the other day, because I don't know if it's maybe we're getting into an upper age bracket, you and I, Gregory,
Hmm.
but
Me too.
I'm saying that everybody I know has either just been to a funeral or has a funeral to attend. That
Yes.
people are dropping like flies,
Yes.
and I'm just hoping that you guys stay safe.
Yes.
We can get together and have these conversations every week and try to enlighten the general public as to what is going on, and from our point of view anyway. Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, CY, for technical assistance, and of course the putting together the
We
show and all.
judge the
Yeah.
content by the
Thank you.
cover
Thank
People,
and
you,
not
our
read
Thank you.
the
producer.
Good
book.
night.
Happy New Year.
respect. Happy
Boom
New
be
Year,
guitar,
everybody.
give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look.
Then they try rob we culturally. We wax lyrically, spiritually, truthfully, exposing evil spirits and hypocrisy. We do this habitually. Keep the mental vibes up at any party. Levels to my chef game is type culinary. Dropping so many gems they call me jewelry. We no need no chat GBT. We do this organically.
Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake, we judge the content by the cover and not read the book up. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look.
Bob say, if they turn tonight, you would have find out how much people they hate you just for spite. We good on this side, so they could have hate with all their might. Hate we cause we bars tight. Cause me and my team they catch Lee light. Don't try bring your feelings to this fuck fight. Call me Cleveland when a time for take flight.
Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake, we judge the content by the cover and not read the book up. Boom, peel it off, give the technician time for place the hook up. Big mistake, we judge me by the color of my skin and by the way how I look.
Then they try rob we culturally. We wax lyrically.
Yeah, Ezekiel call them dry bones. One must know, men have lost their course on a torboat, drift from shore without anchor and rope, unsecure. Amazing the battering wind and the trade waters, Golgotha's Titanic, egotistic big ship got rapture. Self-destruct disaster out there on the ocean floor. We can run, hide and peek. Conscience will surely find it. Skip, jump and leap. A clean heart certainly give it. Run, hide and peek. Conscience surely find it.